The text arrived during my father's funeral service. While the pastor droned on about eternal rest, Jessica's message lit up my phone. Stop being dramatic. He was old. I'm going clubbing and coming home late. I stared at the screen, rain pattering against the funeral home windows. My wife of 3 years couldn't even pretend to care that the man who raised me was gone. I typed back, enjoy. My name is Ethan Rowe, and I work insurance claims in Bangor, Maine. Nothing glamorous, just investigating accidents, fraud cases, and human stupidity for 8 hours a day. But that job taught me something valuable: how to spot lies, gather evidence, and build airtight cases. I should have used those skills on my marriage sooner. Back home in our cramped townhouse, I found Jessica's phone charging on the kitchen counter. She'd grabbed her backup device for her night out. Curious, I scrolled through her messages. What I found made my blood freeze. Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. Room 412 at the Marriott, -C-. Already there, waiting for you. Wear that red dress I bought you. See Ethan's at his dad's funeral. We have all night. Jessica. 3 months of messages. Photos I won't describe. Plans made while I worked late to pay for her shopping sprees. My wife wasn't just cheating, she was flaunting it. I spent the next hour methodically packing. Every photo of us went into boxes. Her clothes stayed. My father's watch, my books, my tools, everything that mattered to me disappeared into my truck. I left divorce papers on her pillow and changed the locks. Mrs. Cutler, our 70-year-old neighbor, watched from her porch as I loaded the last box. She shuffled over with a folded note. I saw a man leaving your place last Tuesday, she whispered. Fancy car, gold chain. Thought you should know it wasn't the first time. The note contained license plate numbers, dates, times. Mrs. Cutler had been documenting Jessica's affairs for months, waiting for the right moment to tell me. Thank you, I said. That girl never deserved you, Ethan. Your father knew it too. I drove to Mason's apartment. Mason worked in my office, handling workers' comp claims. He was the closest thing I had to a best friend, mainly because he was the only person who could tolerate my sarcasm. Jesus, you look like hell, he said, opening his door at 2 a.m. Jessica's been cheating. I left her. Mason grabbed 2 beers from his fridge. About time. I've been waiting 3 years for you to wise up. Who's the guy? Someone named C. Drives a fancy car, stays at the Marriott. Corey Drummond, Mason said immediately. Has to be. He sells luxury cars at that dealership downtown. Total sleazeball. Hits on every woman who walks onto the lot. We spent the next hour researching Corey online. His social media was a parade of expensive cars, designer clothes, and restaurant photos. Recent pictures showed him with Jessica, her red dress prominent in several shots. Look at this caption. Mason pointed to his laptop. Upgraded to a real woman who appreciates the finer things. Posted last week. My phone buzzed. Jessica, finally home to an empty house. Ethan, where are you? What is this? Call me back. I ignored it. The voicemails started 20 minutes later. You're being ridiculous. Come home so we can talk about this like adults. I can explain everything. You're overreacting. Fine, be a child. You'll regret this when you're alone and miserable. I deleted each message without listening to the end. The next morning, I rented a studio apartment above the last call, a dive bar on Hammond Street. Not glamorous, but it was mine. Mason helped me move in, mainly so he could mock Jessica's increasingly desperate phone calls. She's called 12 times in an hour, he observed. That's got to be a record. She's probably more worried about the house payments than losing me, I said, unpacking my father's tools. Jessica never loved me. She loved my steady paycheck and the respectability of being married. So what's the plan? Quiet divorce? Split everything 50-50? I looked out my window at the gray Maine morning. I haven't decided yet, but I was lying. Sitting in that funeral home, reading those messages, I'd felt something crack inside me. Jessica wanted to humiliate me? Fine, two could play that game. I started with surveillance. During lunch breaks, I parked outside Corey's dealership and watched. He was exactly what I'd expected. Mid-30s, artificially white teeth, gold chain visible under his open shirt collar. He drove a different luxury car each day, probably rotating through the lot inventory. Jessica's social media told the rest of the story. Photos of expensive dinners, tagged at restaurants I could never afford. Shopping bags from boutiques downtown. Selfies in Corey's cars with captions like, "Living my best life," and "Finally found someone who treats me right." Each post was a deliberate slap in my face. Mrs. Cutler became my unofficial intelligence source. She'd text me updates throughout the day. The fancy car was there from 2 to 5 p.m. yesterday. Saw them loading suitcases. Looked like a weekend trip. She brought him by the house today. He parked in your spot. That last message made me see red. Corey was parking in my driveway, sleeping in my bed, probably laughing about the pathetic husband who never saw it coming. Mason found me at the last call that evening, staring into my beer. "You look like you're planning something stupid," he said. Define stupid. Anything that gets you arrested. Then no, I'm not planning anything stupid. I'm planning something smart. I'd been thinking about Jessica's weaknesses. She was vain, insecure, and obsessed with her image. Her real estate career depended on reputation and networking. She couldn't handle being the subject of gossip instead of spreading it. "I need you to do me a favor," I told Mason. "Remember that blog your ex-girlfriend writes? The one about local business drama. Sarah's thing? Yeah, why? How would she feel about getting some exclusive information about unethical real estate practices?" Mason grinned. "She'd love it." "What kind of information?" "The kind that ruins careers." Over the next week, I built my case like any insurance investigation. I documented Jessica's affair timeline, cross-referenced it with her work schedule, and discovered she'd been using company time for personal meetings. She'd also been lying to clients about property availability to make time for her dates. Mrs. Cutler provided the smoking gun, photos of Jessica and Corey together during hours when she'd told clients she was showing other properties. "I started taking pictures when I realized what was happening," Mrs. Cutler explained. "Thought you might need evidence for the divorce." "This is perfect. Thank you." That girl made a fool of herself, carrying on like a teenager. The whole neighborhood knows. Sarah's blog post went live on a Friday morning. The headline read, "Local realtor uses client time for personal affairs." It didn't name Jessica directly, but the details were specific enough that anyone in the industry would know exactly who it described. Jessica called me within an hour, screaming, "You bastard! You're trying to destroy my career." "I have no idea what you're talking about," I said calmly. "I've been busy working. You know, that thing responsible adults do." "Don't play dumb!" "This blog post has to be you." "Sounds like someone's guilty conscience is showing. Maybe if you'd focused on your job instead of your boyfriend, this wouldn't be a problem." She hung up on me. The blog post was just the beginning. I'd learned from years of insurance work that the best way to expose fraud was to let the perpetrators expose themselves. Jessica's panicked reaction to the blog would only make people more suspicious. I was right. By Monday, her real estate office was buzzing with gossip. Mason's girlfriend worked in the same building and reported that Jessica had been called into her boss's office twice that week. She looked like she'd been crying, Mason told me. Word is, they're reviewing all her recent transactions. Good. Actions have consequences. What about the boyfriend? You going after him too? I smiled. Corey's going to take care of himself. Men like him always do. I was right about that too. Following Corey for another week revealed he wasn't exactly faithful to Jessica either. I photographed him with 3 different women, none of them my wife. He was playing the same game with multiple targets, probably telling each one she was special. The photos went into an envelope addressed to Jessica with a note From someone who cares about you. She called that night, sobbing. How could you do this to me? Do what? I'm not the one cheating. The photos, Ethan. You're stalking us. I'm not stalking anyone. Sounds like your boyfriend has some explaining to do. He says those photos are fake, that you doctored them. Then you have nothing to worry about. But she did worry. Jessica's social media posts became increasingly desperate, trying to prove how happy she was. The photos looked forced, her smiles too bright. Corey appeared less frequently, and when he did, he looked uncomfortable. The cracks were showing. Mrs. Cutler reported that Jessica had been back to the house several times, always when she thought I wouldn't be around. She'd tried her key, found the locks changed, and sat in her car crying for 20 minutes. She's coming apart, Mrs. Cutler observed. Good riddance. I was starting to agree. The woman I'd married had never really existed. Jessica was a performance, an act designed to trap someone stable enough to fund her lifestyle. Now that the performance was failing, the real person underneath was emerging, and she was ugly. But I wasn't done yet. Jessica had humiliated me publicly, flaunted her affair, and tried to make me look like the fool. She deserved everything that was coming to her. And Corey? He was about to learn that some husbands don't just roll over and disappear. The real fun was just beginning. The confrontation happened on a rainy Thursday night outside Corey's dealership. I'd been watching his pattern for weeks. He always stayed late on Thursdays to detail the expensive cars, probably hoping to impress weekend customers. I found him alone in the lot, buffing the hood of a red BMW. The same car Jessica had posed with in her Instagram photos. Nice car, I said, stepping out of the shadows. Corey jumped, nearly dropping his cloth. Jesus! You scared me. Sorry, you're Corey Drummond, right? I'm Ethan Rowe. His face went pale. Even in the dim parking lot lighting, I could see him calculating whether to run or fight. Look, man, I don't want any trouble. Neither do I just want to talk. About what? About my wife. About those photos you've been taking with her. About the 3 other women you've been seeing behind her back. Corey tried to look confused, but his body language gave him away. He was scared. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. Jessica thinks you're her ticket to a better life. She doesn't know you're running the same game on half the women in this city. You're crazy. Am I? Because I have photos that say otherwise. Time-stamped photos of you with a blonde last Tuesday, a brunette on Wednesday, and a redhead this morning. Should I show them to Jessica, or maybe to your boss? Corey's tough guy act crumbled. What do you want? Nothing from you. You're going to destroy yourself without any help from me. Men like you always do. Then why are you here? I stepped closer, close enough that he had to look up at me. Because I want you to know that I know. I want you to spend every day wondering when the other shoe is going to drop, when Jessica's going to find out what you really are, when your boss is going to discover you've been using company cars for personal dates, when all those women you're stringing along are going to compare notes. You can't prove anything. I don't have to prove anything. I just have to plant seeds and watch them grow. I turned to leave, then stopped. Oh, and Corey? Stay away from my house. Park in my driveway again, and we'll have a different kind of conversation. I walked away, leaving him standing in the rain next to his borrowed BMW. The seeds sprouted faster than I'd expected. Within a week, Jessica's social media posts became erratic. One day, she'd share a photo of expensive jewelry Corey had supposedly bought her. The next, she'd post cryptic messages about fake people and learning who you can trust. Mason kept me updated on the office gossip. Jessica's real estate license was under review. She'd lost 2 major clients who'd heard the rumors about her professionalism. Her boss had assigned her to low-end properties only, a major blow to someone who'd built her image on luxury listings. She came by the office yesterday, Mason reported. Wanted to know if you'd been spreading rumors about her. What did you tell her? That you've been too busy working to think about her. Which is true, mostly. It was true. I'd thrown myself into my job, partly as distraction, and partly because I needed the money for my new apartment. But I'd also been planning the next phase of Jessica's education. The opportunity came when Mrs. Cutler called me at work. "That girl is at your house again," she whispered into the phone, "trying to get in through the back door this time. Call the police." "Already did." "But I thought you should know. She's not alone. The fancy carman is with her." I left work immediately and drove to the house. The police were already there, talking to Jessica and Corey on the front porch. I parked across the street and watched. Jessica was crying, gesturing wildly. Corey looked embarrassed, probably wishing he was anywhere else. The officers were clearly skeptical of whatever story she was telling. One of the cops walked over to my truck. "You Ethan Rowe?" "Yes, sir." "Your wife says you stole property that belongs to her. Says she needs to get inside to retrieve it. Ex-wife. We're divorced, and everything inside that house belongs to me. I have the receipts. She says there are family heirlooms, jewelry, things like that. There might be. She's welcome to make a list, and we can arrange a supervised visit to collect her personal items. But I'm not giving her free access to my house." The officer nodded. "That's reasonable. Ma'am, you'll need to work this out through your lawyers." Jessica's voice carried across the street. "This is harassment. He's trying to steal my things." "Ma'am, it's his house." "You can't force entry." I watched Corey put his hand on Jessica's shoulder, trying to calm her down. She shrugged him off angrily. Even from a distance, I could see the tension between them. After the police left, Jessica and Corey stood in the driveway arguing. I couldn't hear the words, but their body language told the story. She was angry, gesturing toward the house. He was backing away, shaking his head. Finally, Corey got in his car and drove off, leaving Jessica standing alone in the rain. She stood there for almost 10 minutes, staring at the house we'd shared. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the text during my father's funeral, and the feeling passed. Mrs. Cutler knocked on my passenger window. "She's been coming by every few days," she said when I rolled it down. "Sometimes with him, sometimes alone. Yesterday she sat in her car for an hour just crying. I appreciate you keeping an eye on things. That man doesn't seem as interested as he used to be. Last time they were here, he stayed in the car while she tried the doors. Trouble in paradise? Looks like it. Good. She made her bed, now she can lie in it." The final blow came 2 weeks later. Sarah's blog published a follow-up story about the unnamed realtor, this time with more specific details about client complaints and license reviews. Someone had leaked information from Jessica's office, probably a coworker who was tired of covering for her absences. Jessica called me that night, more desperate than angry. "Please, Ethan. I know this is you. I know you're behind all of this." "I'm behind what, exactly?" "The blog posts, the rumors, everything. You're destroying my life." "Your life was already destroyed, Jessica. I'm just not protecting you from the consequences anymore. I made a mistake, okay? I'm sorry. Can't we work this out?" "You made a lot of mistakes. And no, we can't work it out." Corey left me. "Are you happy now?" I was, actually, but I didn't say that. "I'm sorry to hear that." "No, you're not. You planned this. You wanted him to leave me. I didn't have to plan anything. Men like Corey don't stick around when things get complicated. You should have known that." She was crying now. "I have nothing left. No job, no house, no relationship. You took everything." "I didn't take anything, Jessica. You threw it all away for a man with a gold chain and a borrowed BMW. I loved you. I really did." "No, you didn't. You loved what I represented. Stability, security, someone who would pay the bills while you played house. But you never loved me." The line went quiet for a long moment. "What happens now?" she asked finally. Now you figure out how to rebuild your life without using other people. It's called growing up. I hung up and turned off my phone. 3 months later, I heard through Mason that Jessica had moved back in with her parents in Portland. Corey had been fired from the dealership for misusing company vehicles and was working at a used car lot in Lewiston. Mrs. Cutler sold me the house at a fair price when the bank foreclosed on Jessica's mortgage. I moved back into my own home, this time without any unwanted baggage. Some people call it revenge. I call it justice. Jessica wanted to play games with people's lives, so I taught her that some games have consequences. She learned that the quiet, boring husband she'd underestimated was actually pretty good at playing games too.